Welcome to this behind-the-scenes look at Woodsmith magazine. I'm Bryan Nelson, I'm the editor of the magazine, and I'm talking with Chris Fitch. He's one of our senior project designers, and he's come up with a project for the most recent issue of the magazine, and it kind of adds a fun, whimsical project to your backyard or garden, and I thought Chris could talk a little bit about it and take a look at it.
Well, what we have here is a whirligig, and it's a wonderful combination of folk art. We have the character of a fish combined with the mechanics of a mechanism to get things to operate. And so it's really a lot of fun and a really eye-catching project too.
Right. Now it is a little different than most of our projects. Instead of all these straight lines, there's a lot of curves and things to it, and I'm sure that adds a little difference to the design aspect of the project.
Well, it does, but nobody should be intimidated by the fact that there aren't straight lines with this project. As with everything, it can be broken down into a simple series of steps, and the Woodsmith magazine is going to show you how to do that.
Okay, you got a lot of project parts here that have some curves and things, but they still all have to come together just right. So how do you go about doing that on this project?
Okay, well, what we do is we start with just a nice rectangular block of wood with flat planes and straight edges, and we do all of our layout for the different basically joinery that takes place with making the fish. And that keeps things pretty simple in terms of keeping things accurate, well proportioned. So we do all our layout, do all our joinery first, and then we go to the shaping.
Okay, so the shaping sounds like a fun part, but one of the more interesting things I think on here that I find fascinating is all these scales. Looks like a lot of detail work you got to take care of.
Oh, the scales are a fun part. Basically, each scale consists of two cuts with a gouge, one straight down, one at a slight angle to intersect, creates a little silhouette. And the first two scales that you cut, you're a beginner. Third, you're a journeyman, and after that, you are an expert scale maker, and off you go.
And then after the 300 scale, you're tired of that, I guess, and you're ready to move on to something else. So we gave this fish a more lifelike appearance by adding some color to it.
Yes. Now, one thing to keep in mind that when you design and create something for the outside world, you have to use a different set of parameters than for a furniture project. When you're outside, it's bright colors, you want things that are eye-catching.
Well, you're competing with a lot of other things.
Absolutely. And we also need the paint to last and protect this fish. So first thing is good quality paint. No cheap paint, only top quality house paint. And we start with a foundation of 2 coats of primer, followed by 2 coats of our base color, in this case electric blue. And then to finish things off, we tip a lot of our different parts of the fish with a little yellow, a little red to kind of define it and really draw your eye to it.
Well, it's certainly going to draw your eye to it, but I think once the winds start blowing, there's going to be something else that catches your eye, and that's the actual movement that takes place.
And that's the fun and the challenge of a whirligig. It's how do we get use the wind to create some movement. And in this case, what I've done here is use the propeller to rotate a primary shaft, and then that shaft, of course, moves the tail and moves the mouth. Now, to operate the tail, there's a slight offset bend in the shaft. There's a steel pin that drops down from the tail, and this little slide block here helps translate the rotary motion of the shaft to a side-to-side motion for the tail.
Okay, the tail moves side to side, but the mouth needs to move up and down. A little different motion, so I'm assuming the gearing or how the setup is for that is a little bit different.
Well, to get an up and down motion from the mouth, what I've done here is incorporated a very simple bit of mechanics, and that's to build a cam. And we're using just a brass tube with a little bit of epoxy infill. The shaft goes through that off-center, and so as things turn, a bit of wire moves the mouth, and we have up and down motion.
Well, that's a great project. It's a movement in your backyard and certainly a lot of color. So I want to thank Chris for coming up with this project, and you'll find the step-by-step instructions and detailed plans in the current issue of the magazine. I want to say thanks, Chris, for this project.
Well, I really hope that people will consider building it. It's something a little bit different. I think you'll enjoy it, have a lot of fun, and it will make a great gift for friends and family.
Well, build enough of them, you kind of got a school of fish maybe in your neighborhood.
Absolutely.